See you, man. 5 for 5 from the 3. My goodness. Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, another 20 plus and 10 assist game. 20 plus points, 10 assist game. Another one. What DJ Cali at? Another one. Where is he? My goodness, man. Kelsey Mitchell, 18th straight 20-point game. Indiana Fever are absolutely cooking right now. On tonight, man. Caitlin Clark, dog, she took so many ankles tonight. I mean, left them all disabled. Look at this. You reach, I teach. Welcome to school. Hey, man, you got school on a late Friday. What you thought this was, Odyssey? You know better. You was on this team. Look at her reaching. Oh, my goodness. Think she saw a ghost out there. Ooh-wee. Man, reaching but for nothing but air. Hey, Kelsey, just pulling it. Just pulling it and knocking it down. Now, hey, Stephanie White, you need to pay attention to when Kelsey Mitchell is getting dead in on the defensive side. All right, get that woman some help. Or let's go zone. Or let's throw somebody else at Paige Beckers. I mean, we can't allow one player to just absolutely dominate us the way that we did with Paige Beckers, dog. Come on, man. Now, Paige Beckers did a great job getting around Kelsey Mitchell, and then we did send the help, but she would still knock the shot down. But dang, at least make it hard off the initiation. You know, like make it hard off the jump. Make it hard off the jump. Make it hard for her to get around her defender.
Caitlin Clark stepped directly onto the hardwood and unleashed absolute tactical warfare on the defense. She detonated for 29 points and orchestrated the entire offense by dropping 10 pinpoint assists in a blistering masterclass. This was not just another standard scoring outburst from a high-volume shooter. This was a complete psychological and physical dismantling of the opposing perimeter unit from the opening tip. When the Indiana Fever find this relentless offensive rhythm, they transform into an unstoppable wrecking machine. The true championship question is whether this high-octane engine can sustain this violent level of execution every single night.
Do you like that? Look at the chicken wrap. The chicken wrap lay, man. Caitlin was just on another level tonight. Then Paige Beckers knocks down a 3. Caitlin Clark gets it and say, hey, you're not going to be able to celebrate that for too long. You better get back. Gives it to Kelsey Mitchell and told Kelsey Mitchell, get it back in 3s. Tells Kelsey Mitchell, get it back in 3s, man. Knocks it straight down. This is my backcourt. This is why I love my backcourt. Look at this. Ski mask. Ski mask. Come on, man. Once again, we're playing those passing lanes, man. We're playing those passing lanes. Ski mask. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. Paige Beckers, where you going? Girl done jumped and fell into the stands. Dang. She done got faked out of everyone here. Look at it. It don't say Paige. Look, it say end of the book. Man, I don't know how Caitlin was making these passes. I don't know how she was making these passes, man. I'm surprised they don't even have the ones to Kelsey Mitchell. I mean, my goodness, that was a crazy one. Look at this. Easy dump off. Man. Now, she was giving the ball to KK a little bit too much. And also, I think like KK doesn't have to necessarily go up with the shot. Just move the ball around.
Clark put on a vicious ankle-breaking clinic that left defenders completely compromised and scrambling for balance. She repeatedly baited perimeter defenders into overreaching before violently changing direction and snatching the advantage. The second a defender commits their weight forward, Clark punishes them instantly with elite spatial control. When a floor general can force world-class athletes to freeze in pure hesitation, the defensive scheme has already failed. That dynamic manipulation tilted the entire geometry of the court and forced the opposing bench into pure panic.
Caitlin Clark was just on fire, man. Let's go through the numbers. I mean, look, Paige Beckers, I mean, come on, man. She dropped 29 points. We got to get Kelsey Mitchell some help. We got to get her some help somewhere. 20 points for Enrique. She was going crazy, getting downhill on us as well. I do believe some zone would have stopped them, but it is what it is. Odyssey, she was shooting the lights out too, 3 for 6 from the 3-point line. But KK, 6 points, 3 for 7 from the field, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 TOs, and 1 steal for KK. Like I stated, I just think sometimes she don't need to take the shot. She don't always have to take that shot, all right? Kick it back out, reset, whatever the case may be. If we have a little more time, kick it out. Let's find somebody open on that perimeter. Aaliyah Boston, 16 points, 7 for 13 from the field, 0 for 1 from the 3, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 TOs, 1 steal, and 1 block. Like I stated, just that little phase throughout the game where she was rushing a little bit. Just calm it down, right? Calm it down. Everything is okay. And trust in your team. Trust in your abilities. All right? You don't have to knock people over. Kelsey Mitchell, 23 points, 9 for 21 from the field, 4 for 5 from the free throw line, 1 for 7 from the 3, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 TO from Kelsey Mitchell. Sparked it up at getting close to the end of the game. I should have put the call in. Caitlin Clark, 29 points, 11 for 18 from the field, 2 for 8 from the 3, 5 for 6 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 TO, 1 steal. Caitlin Clark, once again, 20 plus points, 10 assists.
The raw stat sheet barely scratches the surface of how masterfully Clark dictated every single possession. She was not simply camping behind the arc waiting for clean catch-and-shoot looks from teammates. Clark actively broke down the point of attack, probed the gaps, and systematically tore through transition coverage. Her ability to manipulate defender positioning before the shot even leaves her hands is a lethal tactical weapon. She forced opposing help rotations into impossible angles and made their interior front line look utterly lost.
Off the bench and dominate the same way she did with the Valkyries. So I'm not mad at her coming off the bench, but it is surprising to see that she only had 1 attempt in this game. I would think they would rely on her scoring and her shooting a little bit in that second string. But Sophie Cunningham, 5 points, 2 for 5 from the field, 1 for 3 from the 3-point line with 1 rebound. Ty Harris, 15 points, 100% across the board, 5 for 5 from the 3, 2 rebounds, 1 steal. I mean, that's just beautiful work. Beautiful work. 53 from the field, 38 from the 3-point line, and 85. Aaliyah Boston, 16 points, 7 for 13 from the field, 0 for 1 from the 3, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 TOs, 1 steal, and 1 block. Like I stated, just that little phase throughout the game where she was rushing a little bit. Just calm it down, right? Calm it down. Everything is okay. And trust in your team. Trust in your abilities. All right? You don't have to knock people over. Kelsey Mitchell, 23 points, 9 for 21 from the field, 4 for 5 from the free throw line, 1 for 7 from the 3, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 TO from Kelsey Mitchell. Sparked it up at getting close to the end of the game.
Despite the explosive scoring highlights, this was far from a flawless offensive performance from the Indiana Fever. They repeatedly botched uncontested layups right at the rim and suffered brutal possessions where ball movement died completely. Finishing the contest with only 14 total assists is a glaring statistical alarm for a championship contender. That assist number is dramatically lower than the fluid, high-speed passing this roster is fully capable of generating. They survived on raw individual shot-making rather than clean, interconnected team execution across 4 quarters.
From the free throw line, they had 34 rebounds. We out-rebounded them, but we gave up 11 offensive rebounds. That was crazy work. Scored all 14 assists, so we weren't really moving the ball as well as I know they can. They usually land around 24, maybe 22, 24, around that range. So yeah, not a lot of finding open looks like that with 14 assists, 9 TOs. We took care of the ball very well. It's probably the best we've ever taken care of the ball, honestly. And to see that we were just struggling with shooting was crazy. But 9-0 boards, we were getting to it a little bit after the first half. I felt like in the first half we were getting just beat up, just outplayed everywhere. I mean, nasty work. 17, 18, like we weren't doing anything. Then we came in that second half, we started putting in that work. So shout out to them. Points in the paint. We had 50 points in the paint. We were dominating them. All right, and we gave up 36, so shout out to them for slowing them down. But yeah, man, great win. I just think they should have dominated the entire game, seeing that they had key players missing. But y'all let me know how y'all felt about this game.
The most terrifying dimension of Clark's game is her supernatural ability to manufacture points out of pure chaos. When Indiana's structured half-court sets completely broke down, she simply took matters into her own hands. She dragged the offense out of dead-end possessions with explosive downhill drives and breathtaking spatial vision. Her sheer individual firepower masked severe structural breakdowns that almost cost Indiana control of this battle. Relying on a generational superstar to bail out broken possessions is an exhilarating but dangerous high-wire act. On the defensive end of the floor, Indiana ran straight into a relentless scoring hurricane that nearly derailed them. Paige Buchers went on an absolute tear and dropped 29 cold-blooded points with supreme offensive poise. The Fever allowed Buchers to establish total comfort and walk directly into her preferred rhythm from the jump. When you let an elite perimeter assassin initiate offense without meeting physical resistance, you are inviting disaster. Indiana's perimeter defense gave up far too much airspace and paid a devastating price on the scoreboard. Kelsey Mitchell found herself isolated in brutal defensive matchups that repeatedly exposed Indiana's perimeter containment. Head coach Stephanie White desperately needed to recognize the breakdown and deploy immediate tactical adjustments. You cannot afford to leave your primary guard on an island against a red-hot superstar without offering weak-side support. Throwing an aggressive trapping look or shifting into a disruption zone could have broken Buchers out of her flow. Failing to provide timely help defense allowed the opposing offense to dictate terms during high-leverage stretches. The initial point of attack defense completely collapsed and gave Buchers a free runway into the paint. Buchers generated continuous downhill momentum because Indiana failed to make the initial entry pass difficult. When you allow a superstar scorer clean separation off the dribble, your entire defensive rotation is instantly compromised. Help defenders were forced to scramble from the weak side, leaving wide-open lanes and high-percentage looks. Indiana survived these breakdowns through sheer offensive retaliation, but the defensive tape reveals glaring vulnerabilities. Mitchell redeemed her defensive struggles by delivering 23 massive points of pure offensive firepower. She caught fire from deep and buried critical perimeter daggers that completely shifted the momentum of the game. Her relentless scoring aggression punished the defense every single time they overcommitted toward Clark. Without Mitchell stepping up as a secondary assassin to hit timely shots, Indiana likely drops this contest. Her offensive production proved indispensable. But the two-way balance remains a massive hurdle moving forward. When the primary perimeter defender gets beaten off the dribble, it triggers an immediate defensive catastrophe. The weak side rim protector is forced to collapse into the lane, leaving the baseline completely unguarded. Once that collapse happens, the perimeter defense gets dragged into a frantic game of catch-up against open shooters. Indiana managed to survive that chaos tonight, but elite championship rosters will dismantle those scrambled rotations effortlessly. A championship defense cannot survive on late recoveries when the initial point of contact consistently fails. The Fever cannot walk into postseason wars believing they can simply outscore every single structural problem. Relying exclusively on Clark and Mitchell to win high-scoring shootouts leaves a razor-thin margin for error. If the defensive execution does not improve dramatically, deeper playoff rosters will hunt these exact mismatches ruthlessly. Indiana must develop a gritty defensive backbone rather than relying on their offensive superstars to bail them out. Championships are won when a team can consistently lock down elite creators during clutch fourth-quarter minutes. Coaching adjustments on the defensive end must be executed with urgency rather than prolonged hesitation. Stephanie White had versatile defensive length available on the bench ready to provide different looks. Waiting until an elite scorer has already caught complete fire before changing the coverage gives away the game. Elite tactical coaches throw traps, switch personnel, and disrupt timing before momentum gets completely out of hand. Indiana must show greater strategic flexibility when an opposing superstar begins to carve up their base coverage. Indiana demonstrated terrifying potential whenever they transformed defensive rebounds into high-speed transition strikes. The exact moment Buchers knocked down a tough perimeter shot, Clark pushed the ball and attacked immediately. Clark refused to let the opponent set their half-court defense and shoveled the rock down their throats. That relentless transition pace caught the defense completely flat-footed and created instant highlight reel offense. When Indiana pushes the ball with violent velocity, they look like one of the most dangerous offenses in basketball. The backcourt tandem of Clark and Mitchell displayed electric synergy during rapid fast break opportunities. Clark threw laser beam passes across the court right into Mitchell's shooting pocket for quick trigger three-pointers. They read passing lanes like absolute predators and turn defensive deflections into immediate fast break daggers. When this dynamic backcourt operates in total sync, opposing guards are left scrambling in pure exhaustion. Their dual threat capability in transition puts relentless psychological pressure on opposing coaching staffs. Clark's sheer offensive gravity creates an impossible puzzle for opposing defensive coordinators. Defenders are terrified to step up because she will blow past them or drop a jaw-dropping dime inside. If they choose to give her space, she pulls up from deep without a moment of hesitation. That constant state of defensive panic warps the floor and creates wide-open driving lanes for everyone else. Her true offensive impact stretches far beyond the box score because every defender is terrified of her vision. The most dangerous trap for Indiana's offensive unit is falling into passive spectator mode on the court. When Clark initiates the play, her teammates frequently freeze along the perimeter instead of cutting aggressively. Stagnant off-ball movement completely kills offensive flow and allows defenses to load up on the primary creator. Indiana becomes shockingly easy to defend when role players stand still and watch Clark work alone. The offense must maintain constant cutting and ball circulation to maximize the defensive advantages Clark generates. The tactical key to unlocking Indiana's ultimate offensive ceiling is rapid ball movement out of double teams. Clark commands immense defensive focus the second she crosses half-court or attacks the painted area. Making the immediate secondary pass forces the defense into chaotic scrambles that they simply cannot sustain. Getting the ball out of her hands quickly turns a double team into an instant 4-on-3 advantage. That brand of unselfish basketball elevates an ordinary offense into a championship-level buzzsaw. Supporting players across this roster must embrace their roles and punish defenses for overcommitting on superstars. Indiana does not need every role player to suddenly morph into a 20-point scorer every single night. They need disciplined contributors who make decisive reads, attack aggressive closeouts, and hit open shots. When role players convert high-percentage opportunities, it completely destroys the opponent's defensive strategy. That supporting cast execution is the definitive factor that separates good teams from true championship juggernauts. Clark finishing the night with 10 assists tells a much more terrifying story than her 29 scoring points. Her passing production proves that she held absolute command over the tempo and pace of this entire matchup. Defenders are forced to pick their poison between stopping her lethal pull-up shot or preventing easy interior layups. That dual-threat mastery puts opposing coaches in a tactical straitjacket for 40 full minutes of game action. Her ability to control the game through playmaking makes every single player on the floor significantly better. Surrendering 29 points to Buchers alongside heavy paint scoring exposes serious perimeter deficiencies. Opposing guards penetrated the lane at will without meeting sufficient physical resistance at the point of attack. Indiana struggled severely to contain straight-line drives, forcing their interior bigs into impossible rim protection spots. Allowing opposing stars to operate with total comfort in the lane will prove fatal against deeper competition. Tightening up individual on-ball defense must be the top priority on the practice floor moving forward. A 98-87 victory looks decisive on the scoreboard, but the actual journey was entirely unstable. Indiana went to battle against an opponent missing key rotation players and still found themselves in a dogfight. Championship-caliber teams are expected to impose their will early and deliver knockout punches against wounded competition. Instead, the Fever stumbled through sluggish opening stretches and had to rely on a furious second-half rally. That lack of early killer instinct is a dangerous habit that will eventually get punished against elite teams. The first half revealed glaring mental lapses and an alarming lack of early-game physical intensity from Indiana. They blew routine scoring opportunities at the rim and allowed the opponent to dictate the physical terms of battle. True championship contenders do not rely on dramatic halftime speeches to wake up and play high-level basketball. Indiana must learn to establish dominance from the opening tip, rather than treating early quarters as a feeling-out process. Eliminating these chaotic early-game slumps is mandatory if this franchise wants to compete for a championship banner. Aaliyah Boston turned in a productive double-double with 16 points and 10 hard-earned rebounds under the glass. She provided essential muscle in the paint, but her overall decision-making showed noticeable signs of rushing. There were multiple possessions where Boston forced contested interior shots instead of letting the play develop naturally. When she stays composed, sets her base, and trusts her elite footwork, nobody in the league can handle her. Finding consistent patience inside will elevate her interior dominance to a completely unstoppable level. Boston does not need to force low-percentage shots to establish her massive value on the hardwood. Her greatest impact comes from setting bone-crushing screens, controlling the defensive glass, and finishing dump-off feeds. When she anchors the painted area and makes crisp interior reads, Indiana operates with supreme efficiency. Her presence gives Indiana a powerful inside-out punch that forces defenses to pick between perimeter and paint coverage. Embracing that physical interior identity makes Indiana infinitely harder to scout and defend across a playoff series. Mitchell's perimeter efficiency gave Indiana the exact tactical counterpunch required to break down opposing defensive schemes. When the defense overloaded the lane against Clark, Mitchell stepped up and buried 4 huge three-pointers. Her ability to punish defensive over-rotation creates massive breathing room for the entire starting lineup. That inside-out dynamic balance is the core foundation that makes Indiana's starting five so lethal. When Mitchell is hitting shots with that level of confidence, the opposing defense has zero viable answers. Ty Harris delivered an absolute shooting clinic off the bench that completely altered the trajectory of this game. She erupted for 15 points while shooting a flawless 5 for 5 from beyond the three-point arc. Providing that caliber of scorching bench production puts the opposing defense into a state of complete paralysis. Defenders can no longer pack the paint when Harris is ready to incinerate them from deep off the bench. That second-unit scoring punch gives Indiana the elite roster depth required to make deep playoff runs. Indiana took exceptional care of the basketball by finishing the night with only 9 total team turnovers. While ball security is vital, finishing with only 14 assist points to a concerning lack of ball movement. Avoiding costly turnovers is great, but stagnant possessions and heavy isolation will stall out against top-tier defenses. The Fever must combine low turnovers with dynamic ball circulation to achieve their true offensive potential. True offensive mastery requires moving the ball with purpose, while maintaining elite possession control. Surrendering 11 offensive rebounds is an unacceptable breakdown in physical effort and defensive focus. Giving up second-chance scoring opportunities after forcing a missed shot completely crushes a team's physical momentum. Boxing out is a grueling, unglamorous trench battle that directly determines the outcome of high-stakes basketball games. Indiana cannot afford to give away free possessions when the competition level spikes against deeper contenders. Securing the defensive glass with relentless physical intensity must become non-negotiable for this squad. The second-half turnaround demonstrated what happens when Indiana brings raw physical violence into the painted area. They racked up 50 points in the paint while holding their opponents to just 36 interior points. They stopped settling for difficult perimeter shots and attacked the rim with relentless force and aggression. That overwhelming paint dominance combined with elite perimeter shot-making represents Indiana's ultimate winning blueprint. When they play with that level of physical authority, they can overpower any opponent on the schedule. Indiana possesses the raw star power and explosive offensive firepower to go toe-to-toe with anyone in basketball. Clark is a generational offensive maestro, Mitchell provides lethal scoring punch, and Boston anchors the interior paint. However, they must eradicate defensive lapses, eliminate offensive rebound concessions, and maintain rapid ball movement. If Indiana masters those critical fundamentals, this squad will evolve into a terrifying championship juggernaut. The blueprint has been established, and the league is officially on notice for what this roster can become.